more about Reclaim Defender. To do that, we've got Mike Gordon from Arcadian Services. Mike, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you. Thanks for doing this for us. So it's always good to get the word out about what we're doing with this amazing product. So,
well, and the reality is like this product is amazing, right? I mean, we heard from customers earlier today talking about the benefits of what this is doing for them and what it's giving them the opportunity to do in their wash that maybe they couldn't have done before. What are you seeing from some of the customers in terms of like how this is impacting their business?
yeah, well, as a director of national accounts, I get the privilege of traveling across the country, Canada, and even abroad to explain to customers our products, how they best work, and then listen to their issues. And you know, I'm basically a problem solver for Arcadian Services. When a customer has a problem, when it revolves around their reclaim system, it's usually the odor.
Yeah.
And you know, and odor is one of those things that we just have learned as operators to deal with.
Right.
We throw chlorine in, we throw hydrogen peroxide, we take the witch's brew, we stir it all up, and we hope for the best. Next morning we start all over and go, what the hell?
Yeah, you just do it again.
Yeah, our reclaim manufacturers, they do the best they can with what they got to work with. But the design of the reclaim system in the car wash is really the issue at bay. The separator tanks, people don't understand how that works, why we have to slow it down, why we need to let nature do its part, which is let the separation of the heavy particulates happen in the separator tanks, keyword separator tank.
Yeah.
Yet we don't as operators. We think, oh my God, we got to get this reclaimed. So they spin that water up and they run it through those separator tanks. And pretty soon the equipment that we just paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for is trying to separate 500 micron sized particles out of the water where it was designed for 200. And then you end up with organic waste in the water, which the systems were never designed to take out.
Right.
Well, years ago, as an operator, I too was that same guy, right? And so I got religion. I said, okay, how are we gonna fix this? And so I sat down one day with David Buzzard, our biological chemist, and said, you know, I see a lot of enzymes out in the market. A lot of companies have it. Why doesn't it work? And we scratched each other's heads and went, oh, well, let's go find out.
Yep.
And we came up with a product called Reclaim Defender. It's a two-part product, one that works in the aerobic side of it, something that you see a lot of. You see a lot of products in our industry that do that.
Yeah.
And then we have a real unique product that is probably the only product of its kind. It's covered by so many patents, but we figured out a way to do something that not even the municipalities do with their anaerobic material. So in a municipality, when you run your water into those facilities and they clarify it for repurposing for non-potable water, they take that active sludge and they recycle it and they start over. And their systems are designed for that. We have flat bottom tanks. We don't have sophisticated active sludge membranes to pull the product all the way back to the beginning and then we start over. They do it because they can't produce that anaerobic bacteria. And that anaerobic bacteria is gold.
Yep.
It's what keeps the water clean. It's what eats the sludge, it eats the materials in it, and more importantly, it eats all the organic material. Well, our Reclaim Defender products are used together so that we're treating the aerobic and the anaerobic side together. And as a result of that, we reduce the sludge. People look at me like, oh, you're going to get rid of the sludge. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, right.
I say, right. I'll be back in 10 days, right? And then they come back and their sludge is gone. We use things like sludge judges where they can actually see the sludge drop down.
Okay.
We train people on how this process works because it does no good for me to just show up and say, hey, I've got my witch's hat on and I'm going to make the problem go away. We want everybody to understand how to do this for themselves. Arcadian Services took it on itself to design a product that was low cost, absolutely works in any environment, and you don't have to buy our chemistry to make it work, right?
Okay.
So we want to have this industry solve this problem, and we're giving the industry the tools. Okay, so we developed the biological treatment, and I have a couple of samples right here.
Show me what's going on here.
So this doesn't do it justice because this is a pretty good one, and a lot of your clients or customers out there will see black water.
Yeah.
This particular customer, his water was just this after the reclaim was processed. So this is what he's putting on the car. And I know you can't see it on the TV screen, but you and I can see all the particulates floating in there, that black stuff. that is all the organic material that's in the water. So imagine you've got that on your reclaimed water.
Yeah.
Now you're spraying that on your windshield. You're going to end up with a film on that windshield guaranteed because you have no soap at that point to wash this off
Right,
because
yeah,
you're
that
using
was
the
at-
high
that was at the
pressure
end, yeah.
to remove the
Yeah,
free
yeah,
soap,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's at the wrong end of the
Yeah.
cycle. So what we do is that we start with a product like that.
Okay.
With the biologics, about 10 days later, you end up like this. Now, this customer has blue dye, and these dyes are real hard to get rid of. But you notice right away
I mean,
that
there's
that
no
organic
solids, yeah.
material is
Yeah.
gone, right? So if you use a green laser, and this is a real good test, we use this a lot on the lab to identify how much TSS is in the water, saturated solids. So when you do that, and I don't know how to do it here, you can see the haze.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so that haze is all the TSS that's in that water
Yep.
that's going to be ending up on your car. So if you don't do it, this is what happens. And guess a lot of this haze has a lot of the odor that
that's
you're
where-
smelling
okay. Got it.
on the water. So now you're putting it in the air and it becomes like a fragrance. It's like buying that very nice perfume your wife never wants to wear. That's it right there.
Okay.
The next thing that happens is that we treat it biologically and you end up in this condition. Now notice the haze is gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So it looks pretty damn good except for that blue
Except it's
dye.
blue,
And
right.
you can see a little bit of stuff in the water. Shake it up because you'll get a little bit more. You get a haze in there.
Yeah,
This is pretty good. This water was 15 days old after the treatment.
Okay.
We give you enough product that will get you to 15 days. So 10 days is when we want to do our first day. We do a complete water exam of it. We look at a whole lot of things that are going on with the water. That sets the inoculation, and that gets you from here to there.
Okay.
And then
so
10 days later,
That's that first
yeah,
cycle. Okay.
yeah, and I've missed that part. Kind of an important
Yeah,
piece. So about 10 days later, you send back in a water sample. We run it through our water lab. We report the difference between the two.
Okay.
And then if it meets certain criteria, we tell you now you're ready to go into sustainability. And then if you have material left over, because we sell it in 5-gallon containers, you're not going to use it in 10 days.
Yeah.
You go ahead and you set up the new dosing instructions. So we may be going 1,000 mils a day to do the inoculation.
Okay.
And then you'll drop down to maybe 500. We have some customers that drop down to 100.
Okay.
And we have dispensing tools for it. We have automatic dispensing. We have computer-aided systems that monitor the water to help people see what's going on. We learned the hard way is that this science, which I consider to be simple, is probably a little bit over what most people want to get comfortable around.
Most of us aren't spending time talking about this every day like you do.
Yeah. So I go from wash to wash, and people look at me like I'm a nut. So, and I probably am. So then after that, then it becomes this problem of what do we do next? So we have this is now our reclaimed water, right? Now we can apply it out on the car.
Yep.
We can use it just like it is. We have, as you interviewed earlier, you have a lot of customers that just do that and they don't do anything more. And then you have customers that are using a thing called a nanobubble generator. About a year.
Nanobubble generator.
Yeah, so it's a technology that was used in academia for discovering how to better apply chemistry to your body, to the human body.
Oh, okay.
So it was used to take a molecule and have your body absorb it better, and that was the concept, right? About a year ago, a great company, they're here at the show as well, Moliere, has a technology that they have been using throughout the entire world. They're probably the top nanobubble generating company in America. And we decided that we wanted to see it for ourselves. And I was blessed by being able to go to one of their seminars. And I always consider myself to be one of the smarter guys in the room. And I found out that wasn't the case at this meeting. So there's these doctors and PhD level people all in there, all wanting to know how to better use nanobubbles. And I met a group of guys that are from South Africa that were using nanobubbles to clean rivers in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
And they were using biologics. And I went, there we go.
Now
we got it. So it took a little bit of give and take, and I have some really good working partners in the car wash industry. Some of them really went at it really hard because of the economic benefit that they were going to get. And so I spent a lot of time in California working on real major operators, 1,000 car wash sites, 2,000 car wash a day sites, and coming up with a better way to do it. A lot of it was literally the witch's brew,
Yeah.
trying to figure out how
Yeah.
this was going to work. And fortunately, our business associates out there, they were very, very gracious with their time and their money to help put this together at their wash. So we started with that Moliere system, and the system was as big as a truck.
Okay.
You know, and it was huge. I mean, it's like, how are we going to put this in a car wash?
Yeah.
Well, let's see if it works first. And we found out it worked.
Yep.
We found out it absolutely works. You have to do a couple things different because of the way they generate their bubbles, but you know, it worked. I then took the thoughts back to my team of people. I work with a lot of university students, and they came back with taking a big, huge industrialized piece of equipment and reduced it down to this.
Okay.
Okay, and in the car wash industry, we have pumps, we have plumbing systems,
Right.
we have regulators, we have air concentrators. We don't need to buy it all again and repackage it. And so what we said was, let's put a nanobubble generator in the size of a tube, and we have multiple sizes. This is one of the smaller units.
Okay.
We have them all the way up to 6 inches. So if you want to run several thousand gallons a second through a generator, there you go.
What's the use case for that? Who's doing
well,
that?
yeah, there's a couple of car wash manufacturers here that use some pretty high volume water. So so we have to have a solution for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So as you heard from the previous people, some people use this only on the domestic side.
Yeah.
Some people use it with the reclaim. And what we found out is that when we were using it with reclaim and then using the reclaim water in replacement of the soft water that was going through a hydroflex board, we were getting superior results than just using soft water because of the hydrophobicity that the nanobubbles were generating and creating an ability to take that reclaim water. Now think about this. You got reclaimed water that's super saturated with all the chemistry that we put on the cars over and over and over again. And a lot of that chemistry is good chemistry. There's ceramics in that water, for example. But we can't use the ceramics because we don't want to put the silica portion of the ceramic back on the car, so it'll feel like sandpaper.
Okay.
We don't want to do that. Nanobubbles have the ability, a thing called dispersion. And what happens is, if you think about ice, that's reclaimed water. It's solid. It's full of stuff in there.
Yeah.
And then as the reclaimed water gets treated by the biologics, that's like drinking water. It's loose, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
You probably could drink that and probably not get, even know you were drinking reclaimed water. And then you've got steam.
Yeah.
Right? So at steam, water drops off all of the stuff that's in that water. And when it comes back down, it's formed into perfect H2O, right? Because it doesn't have any particulates in it. Nanobubble generators have that ability to do it through a thing called Brownian motion theory.
Okay.
And Brownian motion theory is a real simple theory in physics that says, okay, if I can put an ion in a solution and not have it move, it's going to stay for an extended period of time, right? And so we use the ability of this device to have zero buoyancy, and it's oxygen, to stay in the water for an extended period of time and to create a thing called dispersion, because nanobubble generators do this work through a here goes the science, okay? So they do this work through a thing called a zeta particle or zeta potential. So we set this at negative 25 millivolts. Now we have a polarity in the water where we can push and pull the particles together depending upon what that polarity is. Magnet, right?
Oh,
so we create a magnet, and so depending on what the particle is that we're trying to take out of the water, it's either going to get absorbed by that nanobubble or it's going to get repelled by the nanobubble. We also produce a thing called mesobubbles that go through here as well. So our design is that we produce 300 plus million nanobubbles per liter of water every second that water goes through. That's what it's pushing out. But we also produce about 150 million mesobubbles. Those mesobubbles are used to float the lights to the surface and to push down the stuff that's going to be the heaviest, like the calcium and the magnesium. And in the center of it is our perfect water, right? And that's that perfect water that we get here that we use on the car wash. So here's your reclaimed water. You went through all this process, and now that's nanobubble treated reclaimed water.
Wow, yeah, no haze.
Right? No haze. We also do a test called dispersion, where we take water into a graduated cylinder, and we have RO water, which is our best water in our car wash. And then we have RO water treated with nanobubbles.
Okay.
And we proved that the nanobubbles will actually disperse the chemistry better than the RO water. You take one drop of water or one drop of dye, drop it in there on RO water, you'll see the dye go like this. You see this on the internet a lot. You know, my good friends at Moliere, they came up with this test. I just stole it. You know, so sorry, Josh. But the idea is that, you know, it proves that there's no dispersion in RO water. So it's not as good as what people think it is.
Yeah.
You took the same drop of dye into nanobubble RO water, and all of a sudden the water turns blue.
Yeah, that's
And
cool.
then you go, okay, well, how long does it take for that RO water to do the same thing? And we see it's between 3 to 5 drops of dye.
Oh,
That
wow.
means, now what that tells us is that it's going to take 3 to 5 times more product to actually do the same thing that you were doing here, because that's the wetting effect on chemistry. And so we love the nanobubble. We think the nanobubble is the next generation, the big aha moment
That's really
for the
cool.
car wash industry.
That's really cool, and that it's like it's in a little shaft.
Yeah,
like it's just in the tube.
You know, the generators can be $15,000 for a 20-gallon-a-minute generator.
Yeah.
And you know, and it goes up from there.
Yep.
A device like that is about $700.
Okay.
And
that's why it's got the lock on it?
Yeah. Yeah, we were afraid of. Well, we had some of these in New Jersey, and they all walked away. So our colleagues over there, who we probably ought to get one of them over here. So
devices
yeah, we got a tracking device on it. Yeah, you know, it's you know, you want to know where your nanobubbles are, you know. So
nano trackers.
Yeah, but the idea is that, you know, we want this to be something that anybody can do. So we created a new company around the concept, so they didn't have to feel like they had to contact Arcadian Services. So you can call, you know, you can go online. It's biotechsolutions.ai. All of our solutions are AI backed, so we have an AI generator that helps people understand how to do all the things I talk about.
Yeah.
Don't have to listen to me. Just, you know, read it off the internet or have the AI tell you. So we have all of those technologies working together. We have the generators, we have the dispensing equipment, we have the water monitoring equipment. You can buy it all as a package.
Yep.
Or if you're one of those guys that like to do stuff in your garage, like Ronnie Nelson over there, you can just build it yourself. So it's your choice. Your choice. You know, I love this piece of equipment because it solves a problem that we in the industry have been struggling with forever. I liken it to finding the Holy Grail.
Wow.
You know, and so
that's a big statement, Mike.
It is a big statement. And I have too many people around me right here that say, "Yeah, he's right."
Yeah,
so you know, so I hope people listen to me, know that I'm not trying to do a sales pitch. We have plenty of information on the internet to learn more about. We did a case study. You know, we've got some pricing on the internet. You need more information. The team at Arcadian Services is here to help. And we've got numerous distributors across the United States that are eager and willing to help. So yeah.
Sweet. Awesome, Mike. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for talking with you.
Hey, if you're watching it, come by and see us. If you're in the Las Vegas area, you can learn all that you ever wanted to know and more about nanobubbles, and it's actually really fascinating, but we'll get into that another time. Otherwise, if you're at the show and you're out here, make sure you stop by the Arcadian Services booth and come visit with us. All right, awesome.